Greetings for the day, dear students. I'll continue my discussion on structure of proteins. In my previous lectures, I have told you about the primary structure of proteins and the secondary structure of proteins. Today, I'll tell you about the tertiary and the quaternary structures of proteins. First, we'll take the tertiary structure of proteins. The overall three-dimensional structure of a polypeptide is called its tertiary structure. The tertiary structure is primarily due to the interactions between the R groups of the amino acids that make up the protein. The tertiary structure defines the steric relationship of amino acids which are far apart from each other in the linear sequence but are close in the three-dimensional aspect. R group interactions that contribute to tertiary structure include number 1 hydrogen bonding, number 2 ionic bonding, number 3 dipole-dipole interactions, and number 4 London dispersion forces. Basically, the whole gamut of non-covalent bonds contribute to the tertiary structures of proteins. We have already studied in our previous lectures about these bondings, that is hydrogen, ionic, dipole-dipole and London dispersion, etc. For example, R groups with like charges repel one another while those with opposite charges can form ionic bond. Similarly, we can see that polar R groups can form hydrogen bonds and other dipole-dipole interactions. Also important to the tertiary structure are hydrophobic interactions. We have already studied about the hydrophobic bonds or the hydrophobic interactions. In hydrophobic interactions, amino acids with non-polar hydrophobic R groups cluster together on the inside of the protein, leaving hydrophilic amino acids on the outside to interact with surrounding water molecules. Finally, there is one special type of covalent bond that can contribute to tertiary structure, and that is the disulfide bond. The disulfide bonds, covalent linkages between the sulfur containing side chains of cysteines, are much stronger than the other types of bonds that contribute to the tertiary structure. So we can say that the disulfide bonds are the strongest among the other types of linkages. The disulfide bonds act like molecular safety pins, keeping parts of the polypeptides firmly attached to one another. Image of a hypothetical polypeptide chain depicting different types of side chain interactions that can contribute to the tertiary structure are shown in a diagram that I will show you in the next slide. These include hydrophobic interactions, ionic bonds, hydrogen bonds and disulfide bridge formation. Here in this diagram, this is an imaginary diagram where different types of interactions are shown. The various R group interactions that contribute to the tertiary structure we can see in this diagram. Here you can see the polypeptide backbone and then hydrogen bonds, disulfide linkages between sulfur atoms and the hydrophobic interactions and also the ionic bonds. Now we come to the quaternary structure of proteins. Now, before I tell you about the quaternary structure, I will tell you something. In addition to primary, secondary and tertiary structures, many proteins show a fourth level of organization wherein several monomeric units, each with appropriate primary, secondary and tertiary structures, may combine. Some proteins contain two or more separate polypeptide chains or subunits which may be identical or different. The arrangement of these proteins we can understand in the next slides. There are several reasons why multi-subunit proteins are so common. In large assemblies of proteins such as collagen fibrils, the advantages of subunit construction over the synthesis of one huge polypeptide chain are analogous to those of using prefabricated components in constructing a building. So many proteins are made up of single polypeptide chain and have only 3 levels of structure. The ones we have just discussed, that is primary, secondary and tertiary structures. However, some proteins are made up of multiple polypeptide chains, also known as subunits. When these subunits come together, they give the protein a quaternary structure. The protein will lose its function when the subunits are dissociated. The forces that keep the quaternary structure are hydrogen bonds, electrostatic bonds, hydrophobic bonds, and van der Waals forces. They are much more similar than that we have studied in the tertiary structure. Depending on the number of polypeptide chains, the proteins may be formed as monomer, that is they will have one chain, two chains, that is dimer, tetramer, that is having 4 chains, and so on. Each polypeptide chain is termed as subunit or monomer. Homodimer contains 2 copies of the same polypeptide chain. Heterodimer contains 2 different types of polypeptides as a functional unit. For example, 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains form the hemoglobin molecule. Second example, we can see that 2 heavy chains and 2 light chains form the molecule of immunoglobulin G. Third example, we can see the keratin kinase, that is CK, is a dimer. And fourth example, lactate dehydrogenase LDH is a tetramer. Another example is DNA polymerase, an enzyme that synthesizes new strands of DNA and is composed of 10 subunits. Here we can see the 4 levels of organization of proteins. In the first, we can see the sequence of amino acids. It is the primary structure. In the second, we can see that the hydrogen bonding of the peptide backbone causes the amino acids to fold into a repeating pattern. And in the third, we can see the tertiary structure where 3-dimensional bonding pattern of a protein due to side chain interactions is shown. And fourth is the quaternary structure, in which protein consisting of more than one amino acid chain or the more than one polypeptide chains. So, in general, the same types of interactions that contribute to tertiary structure, mostly weak interactions such as hydrogen bonding and London dispersion forces, also hold the subunits together to give a quaternary structure. So, students, this was all about the tertiary and quaternary structure of proteins. In the next lecture, I will tell you about the functions of proteins. Thank you. Have a nice day.